Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua HaMashyah and to the scattered tribes of Israel throughout the four corners of the earth. Today I bring you a word, and the title of this word is Joshua, the English name for Yahushua, and the history of the name of YAHUWAH and Yahushua. The title again, Joshua, the English name for Yahushua, and the history of the name YAHUWAH and Yahushua. Now, the reason why this video is being done is not to cause any stumbling blocks in the body of Yahushua, nor is it to cause any contentions. This video is to give you understanding why we call the Most High and His Son in their Hebrew names. Now, this is a warning to my brothers and sisters who condemn those who called upon the name of the Most High in Hebrew, because especially for those who have changed their names from English to Hebrew. Therefore, you should not condemn your brothers and sisters who called upon the name of the Most High and His Son in Hebrew. In addition, my brothers and sisters, those who called upon the name in Hebrew, you should not condemn those who called upon the Most High and His Son name in English. For we have to remember, they may not have received the full understanding. They may not have received the full truth yet, for they may still be babes in this walk. So the same way Yahuwah had patience and understanding with us, we too should have patience and understanding with them. You continue to be the light, and I'm a witness of this. I had some friends who was using the English name, and because they had developed rapport with me, they began to say the Hebrew name. Not because I told them to, not because I forced it, but because I was a light unto them. Another part of my testimony is, I'm a witness that when you call upon His name in English, He still hear your prayers. He will still answer you. For when I was not in the truth, He healed my body and performed a great miracle. And that was during the time when I called His name in English. So the same way He has patience and understanding with me, He will have with you. As long as you continue to seek Him, He will show you all truths. Also, pertaining to the name in Hebrew, and it'll come back to my mind what I want to say is, yes, I have met brothers and sisters who came in His name and used the Hebrew, but they were actually children of Satan. See, knowing His name in Hebrew will not get you into the kingdom of heaven. What will get you into the kingdom of heaven is salvation and baptism in the name of Yahushua HaMashyah, the Christ. See, those that had came in His name, as the Bible warned us, they would bring truth and lives. They would not come in the doctrine of Christ. So remember, I have seen those who had came in the name, in the Hebrew name, who have performed great miracles, signs, and wonders, who have brought great truths, but it was mixed with lies. And they will appear to you as being sheep, but they're not sheep. They will appear to you being as wheat, but they're not wheat. Now, do you understand, my family? Then let us begin this lesson. Again, this is to give you understanding why we call upon the name of YAHUWAH and Yahushua. Now, evidence of this can be found, I do need to mention this, This is why I stress of you getting the King James 1611 Bible. And for those who cannot get the book, you can go to the website and view the book actual pages, the chapter summaries, and the precepts. This will rule out all confusion, lies, and give you the truth. Because our Father would not leave us standing. He will always leave us proof of the truth. And that can be found in the King James 1611 Bible that I'm going to show you in this book. I'm recording. So let us begin this lesson. Now, we will go to Hebrews chapter 4 because that is the proof that the English name for Christ is Joshua. The English name for Yahushua HaMashyah is Joshua. So let us go now. Hebrews chapter 4, I'm going to read a summary to you first. The rest of Christians is attained by faith, the power of Yahuwah's word. By our high priest, Yahushua, the son of YAHUWAH, subject to infirmities, but not sin, we must and may go boldly to the throne of grace. Now, I'm not going to read this whole chapter, but I recommend that you read it. It is a very good chapter to gain more understanding. Verse 8. For if Yahushua had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day? So I'm going to click on this inscribe because it's going to give you a precept of what this name should be right here. This is the English word that you see. And really it should be pronounced like Azus. Okay. So we're going to see what should be the correct English name for Yahushua. And the correct English name should be Joshua. Now remember, this is Old English, so when you get the 1611 Bible, there's many different ways to spell Joshua. So in this case, they spell it Josuah. Okay? So the correct English name should be Joshua, not Azus. Okay? Now, also I want to mention dealing with the name Joshua. Let me go back to the post because I want to make sure I stay on track. Now I know what I want to say. When you go into the 1611 Bible, that is the proof that I just shown to you in Hebrews chapter 4 on how the Most High would give us clues that will lead to all truth. And I know what you're probably thinking, well, it's just a name. But if you study the Old Testament, which is the Old Covenant, you begin to understand that the name means something. See, there's meaning behind that name. The name is not just given to be given. The name is given to define a person, to let you know who they are. Okay? Now we're going to look at this post here. Also, evidence of this can be found in the book of Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 55. All right? And we're going to go down a little bit more. And what this part is saying right here, Yahushua, and another variation you can see his name spelled is YAHUSHA, is basically saying Yahushua name is the same as Joshua in English. For Joshua means Yahuwah is salvation. For Yahushua comes in his Father's name. And you'll see why this is the correct definition of Yahushua. Okay? because it means Yahushua is salvation. And according to scripture, when you read the book of Luke, it tells you Yahushua is the salvation of YAHUWAH. But let's go a little further down first. Before I read to you 1 Maccabees chapter 2 verse 55 for proof, you can also find evidence of what his name should mean in Matthew chapter 1 verse 21. And it reads this: "And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins." So you have to remember this. He shall save. This is very important. This is very important for you to remember. So when we look at all the names that Joshua has, you will begin to understand why we lean towards Yahushua. Okay? Now in First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 55, we have another proof that Joshua should be the English name for Yahushua. For when you read this verse here, and you see the word they put there, Yahushua, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. And the precept for that verse is Joshua chapter 1, verse 2. However, I recommend that you read Joshua chapter 1, verse 1 to 2, because that verse is talking about Joshua, the son of Nun. Okay? So Joshua, the son of Nun, was made a judge in Israel. So this is another verse for proof that the English name should be Joshua. All right? Now we're going to look at Joshua 3 names. And you can find evidence of this in the Old Testament. Remember, a name has a meaning, and his name was changed 3 times. Okay? Let me read this one first to you. When you look in Numbers chapter 13, Moses changed Joshua's name from Osea to Yahushua. All right? And evidence can be found in these following verses, my people. Read Numbers chapter 13, verse 16, 1 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 27, and Exodus chapter 17, verse 9, and verse 10, verse 13, and verse 14. Now, this is why we lean more towards Yahushua, for Yahushua means YAHUWAH is salvation. And you can find this in the Strong Concordance, H3901, and this name appeared in the Bible 218 times of the Old Testament. Now I'm going to click on this link here because I want you to look at how they spell his name in Old English. Now in Old English, instead of a J, you would see an I. But because this is the King James Version here and not the 1611, you would see their names spelled with a J, such as, let me take a look at this one. Right here in Numbers chapter 13, verse 16, this is when Moses changed Joshua's name from Osea to Yahushua. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you how we got Yahushua, because you have to learn the Hebrew alphabet. And once you learn the Hebrew alphabet, it will give you an idea how to spell his name in Hebrew. Okay? But you see here, in the Old English, you will have an I instead of a J. YHWH. Okay? Let's look at 2 Chronicles. All right, almost getting there. Here we go. Not Second Chronicles, I apologize. It's First Chronicles, chapter 7, verse 27. Again, we see his name, Joshua's name, and that has changed to Yahushua. But in the Old English, they spell it with an I, okay? But in modern English, they spell it with a J. YHWH, okay? So that'll give you some understanding why there are those who call the son name Yahushua, for it means Yahuwah is salvation. And I need to go back to that link to show you the meaning, yes, of that name. Yahuwah is salvation. Again, because I know the Hebrew alphabet, I know how to pronounce this word. I know not to say Jehovah, I would say Yahuwah. Okay, and we'll talk about more of that in this video. And I will put the links of this in the description box. Now let's look at the name Hosea. This was the name of Joshua originally. And Hosea means salvation. Okay, as you can see, it's different ways to spell Hosea. You can be spelled as Osehosshea. Okay, and take this time now to pause the screen to get the different spelling variations of Yahushua. Okay, so Osea means salvation. Again, this is why it's important that we use the correct name in its proper context. Okay, so we were not called Yahushua HaMashyah Osea because it just means salvation. Because remember, he said, "I come in my Father's name." All right. Now the next word you're gonna see in the King James 1611 Bible is Yeshua, and I forgot to mention. The number for Osea in the Strong Concordance is H1954. Now the number in Strong Concordance for Yeshua is H3442. And it actually means he is saved. This is why there are those who do not call upon this name because of what this word means. It means that he is saved. And actually, when we read the book of Matthew, it said that he shall save his people. So we should go by the correct name that means that. And that is Yahushua is salvation. Okay? Now there is another meaning to this name of Yahushua. And we'll talk more about this in this video. Okay? But take this time now to pause the screen to see how often this name appeared in the Old Testament, which is Yeshua. All right. Now let's scroll down a little bit more. Now, this is the proof why those who come into the whole truth, why we lean to more the Hebrew names. Okay. And this go for all the prophets and for the Most High and for his son. Because when you read Old English, the name, when it was translated, it don't have the same lettering, in other words. Remember, every language is different. So you have to understand language and you have to understand how words are translated. So that's something you have to do a study on your own, okay? Now, here's the proof about why we lean to more of the Hebrew name. It says here, the power of Hebrew language versus English, Greek, Roman, and etc. Again, this is to give you understanding of why we call the name in Hebrew and not in English. Okay? Evidence of this can be found in Ben Sirah, which is the book of Ecclesiasticus, and it is the prologue of the wisdom of, it should be say, Joshua, the son of Sirach. Okay? There was many people named Joshua in the Bible. All right? Or Yeshua. It is either Joshua or Yeshua. So you will have to go back and do some research to see what his name go back to. But right now I'm leaning more towards Joshua. Now this is what is written in the prologue, and I want you to really listen and pay attention. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and intention, and to part us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. So take this time out to pause the screen. I will too put the link of this chapter or this passage in the description box so you may have. All right. Now, the next place we shall go to first, let me take a look. It's the King James 1611 Bible. And this is why I tell you why it's so important to have this book, because there are signs in this book letting you know about how to find out his name in Hebrew. And let me make sure, I hope I have the right picture and make sure. The picture that I'm looking for might be this one. This is one of them. You see right here, this is modern Hebrew, and it's letting me know the name of the Most High in Hebrew, which is YAHUWAH when you translate it into English. Let me see if I have a better picture. Now here's an excellent picture. So this was written in the King James 1611 Bible. Do you see how the Most High give us clues? All right. Also, we have relics to prove of his name. Now, to understand where is Osiris located, when you read 2nd Ezra chapter 13, you will find that it is the Americas. Now remember, the Americas consist of Canada, Alaska, North America, South America, and the surrounding islands. Okay? And that's they found this ancient stone with Hebrew writing that would prove that my people came to this land. Now I'm going to let you know, you need to read the whole chapter, because how my people got over here was by the hand of the Most High. They did not come on ships, and I'm talking about the northern kingdom, who is called the 10 lost tribes. The Most High opened up the waters so they can come to Osiris, which is the Americas, and they walk on dry land, just like they did with the Red Sea. For those who have the 1611 Bible, you will see the precepts that will confirm what I'm telling you. That is why it took them a year and a half to get to the Americas. This is why Columbus, when he came over to the Americas, this is why he learned that they were the Hebrews. It's in history. And this is one of the relics of my people to show you they are in this land too. This is the northern kingdom, who is called the 10 lost tribe. And I too would put this link in the description box so you can review. Also, there have been other relics found in Israel to prove the Most High name. Again, he's not going to leave us behind. Also, I would put the link of this in the description box to give you understanding why we do not call upon his name as Yahweh. Again, this is not to call contention with those who do, but this is to give you understanding why we don't call upon this name, because it's more relate to a Greek translation. Okay, so I would put this in the description box so you can review. Okay. Also, this is another way to spell his name, and I will explain more why you would see a U instead of a W. You will see his name spelled as YAHUWAH, and his son spelled as Yhwsh. Okay, and I'll explain more about that. Now, dealing with the King James 1611 Bible, I do want to read the quote. I do want to read this whole thing, and bear with me, okay? The name of the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob is located on the top in the midst of the page in modern Hebrew, which I had shown you then. That was the modern Hebrew name. According to Mark chapter 13, verse 10, the gospel must first be published among all nations. Read Mark 13, 9 through 13. The Holy Bible 1611 edition King James Version by Henderson Bible states, despite the passage of 4 centuries and the rise of dozens of versions and hundreds of unique editions, the 1611 King James Version remains the most influential English Bible of all time. It continues to be a bestseller at the drawing of its 400th year. End of quote. I also shall read to you this paragraph here. In Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 17 to 20 explains why King James had the Hebrew Israelites' Holy Bible translated. Also, the Hebrew alphabet and slash punctuation is listed in Psalms 119, which I will also go over with you in this video because, again, he will not leave us hanging, my people. He left us clues. You can find the Hebrew alphabet in Psalms 119. Last paragraph, my people. Isaiah chapter 28, verse 10. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people. And the precept for that is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 21. And we're seeing evidence of that today with not only in English, but also with other languages, because this Bible here has been translated into many different languages. Okay? Now let's get to this part here. Make sure. We'll have to close this one out. Okay. Now, this is a chart that I want to go to. I was talking about Yahushua. Name means YAHUWAH is salvation. Also, there's another meaning to it. So when you begin to study Hebrew and the letters, you will learn that they have a certain meaning when they're grouped together. Such as Yah means I am, myself, the one. And Yah can be found in Psalms chapter 68, verse 4. Okay? Then this part, YAHUWAH, HUW means he, same, who is. Then YAHUWAH, with an emphasis on the H on the end. That means exists, same. So when you combine these letters here that you see here, when you combine them, you would get YHW, which is YAHUWAH. YAHUWAH. I am he, the one who is. That's what that means. When you combine all these letters with YHWH, you get YAHUWAH. I am he who exists. Do you see how it's so important to know the meaning of his name in Hebrew? Okay? Now, I'm aware of those who use Ashaya. I think it's, I have to go on my folder album and make sure I pronounce it correctly. I'm aware who use the other Hebrew title. And when you use that, what I was learning is that you're speaking as first person, like I am. But when you speak this name, you are letting the people know who he is. Okay, I'm he who exists. Okay, again, this is not to cause any contentions with my brothers and sisters who use the name I am that I am in Hebrew. It's nothing against you, my brothers and sisters. Okay, but this is to give you understanding why we call his name YAHUWAH. And evidence can be found in the prophet Isaiah with this word YAHUWAH. With this word YAHU. Okay, I have seen that in the book of Isaiah. Let me see here. Now, as you can see, there's different ways that people would spell the name in Paleo-Hebrew, and we're going to talk about that in the next place that we shall go to. So we have ancient Hebrew and we have modern day Hebrew. Okay, and this is Paleo-Hebrew. That's a real ancient type of Hebrew. All right, that spell the name of Yahushua. Okay, so let me get out of this album here and go to the one. Let me see here. Trying to find it. You know how it is when you have a lot of stuff in your folder album. And this is what I learned when I was doing some research. There is a difference between Phoenician Hebrew and ancient Hebrew. And that's what I'm trying to get to now. Here we go. The difference between Paleo-Hebrew and Phoenician Hebrew. And I'm going to put the link of this in the description box. Because sometimes when you spell the name Judah or David in Hebrew, you will see this symbol here. But actually, when you see this symbol here, like this triangle symbol, that's more of a Phoenician Hebrew. But the Paleo-Hebrew, you will see a triangle with a tail. So depending what charts you are looking at, there might be some slight variation for the letter Dalet. Okay? So take this time now to pause the screen. And I too will put the link of this in the description box so you can have for further study. Right? And evidence of this to prove to you what I'm talking about, of the Paleo-Hebrew for the letter Dalet, you can see here. All right. And this is one of our ancestors' signet. And I'm sorry, I don't have the description. It's in another album. So when I come across this description, look for it in the video description box for this signet. But I was showing you this to you to prove to you how when they write the letter Dalet, it's with a triangle with a little tail that extends from it. So I definitely want you to know that. Again, my people, when in doubt or what name to call upon him, just seek my Father and he will lead you to all truth. Okay? Again, this video is to give you understanding why we call him YAHUWAH and why we call his son Yahushua. Okay? Now we're going to get to the part and make sure before I go from this album. I want to show you something. When I got my first Bible from my church, it had a concordance. All right. I'm just going to make this brief. I'm going to go through each slide right quickly, and you just take your time and pause the screen. But it was letting me know that the word Lord and God replaced his most sacred name, which was YAHUWAH. And that was in my first Bible that I received from my church when I was young. Okay? Take the time to pause the screen. And this came from a King James Bible by Thomas Nelson Publishers, Nashville, and the copyright was 1984, and this is the Dictionary Concordance. As you can see here, reason why we go by the word Israelites for my people and not Jews, you can see here evidence of this. And also my people are recognized as Hebrews. Take this time to pause the screen. Again, you can see that we do call the Elohim the Most High, and it's used in place of this word here, God. Okay, and they give you scriptures where this can be found: Deuteronomy 32:8, Daniel 4:25, and Acts 7:48. And that's done with this Bible here, my people. Okay, remember that's a different version of the 1611. Take this time now to pause the screen. I also looked at this word Hebrews, and in that particular Bible version, it means the descendants of Eber, which is found in Genesis 10:21, sometimes used interchangeably with Israelites. And then this one, Israelites, a name applied to Israel, the people, also called Hebrews, mostly by foreigners, as was the name Jews. So today they try to call us Jews, but when you trace that word back, you will learn that the correct English word should be Judean, which would go back to Yahudim. All right. The latter arose at the time when Judah, after the fall of the northern kingdom, represent the entire people. And this is letting you know here, when you read Romans chapter 11, verse 1 through 2 and 26 to 27, to let you know that the Most High have not cast away the Israelites. There's a prophecy pertaining to them, how he shall bring them back as a nation. All right, that take care of this. Now, which brings us to the word Lord. Now we should go to Hosea chapter 2, verse 16. I'll read that verse to you. And it shall be at that day, saith Yahuwah, that thou shalt call me Ishai, and shalt call me no more Belai. I hope I pronounced that right. Baalai. Now, these are Hebrew words. Those who have the 1611 Bible, it tells you what this word means. It means my husband. So in the New Kingdom, we would call the Most High my husband. And we shall no longer call him Baalai, which means my Lord. We will no longer call him my Lord in the New Kingdom. And this is why I'm telling y'all, do not fuss on what people call him. The most important thing is you want to make sure they receive salvation. Then allow the Word and the Holy Spirit to teach them all truth. Remember, this is a journey. This is you have to grow in your relationship with the Most High. And your growth is determined on how much you seek him. The more you seek him, the more he's going to lead you to all truth. This is why we're on different levels and different understanding. So the most important thing, don't focus on the word that people are saying. Look at their spirit. Look at their heart. Test their spirit. That's what's going to determine if they are the child of the Most High. Because many come in Christ's name, even using the Hebrew name, and they are actually children of the devil. They are actually the tares. They are actually the wolves disguised. Okay? So I want to go to the breakdown of Baalai. I will get this to pronounce it for me.
Strong's H 1180. Baali. Baali.
Baali. Okay, that's the correct word. As you see here, it means my Lord, and it also relates to a deity in the northern kingdom. That's the 10 lost tribes. variation of the name Baal. Okay? So again, this is why some of us don't even say Lord. But for those that do, we have the understanding that you're still in your walk with the Most High. Okay? And he's going to take all this stuff away from us anyway when we get to the new kingdom, because we have profaned his name, the Israelites and the Gentiles. We have profaned the holy language, the Hebrew language. What you see spoken down by the Jewish people who are Gentiles, they have profaned that language. They had added what they call vowel points. And when you learn the Hebrew language, there's no vowel points. Okay? Now this brings me to this ancient chart here. And I'm going to put, let's blow this up. Like I said, there's many different charts right here. As you can see, this is the Phoenician letter for Dalet, but the correct way should have a little tail. So I'm just letting you know, when you go to some of these charts, it can vary. Now for the letters, dealing with the Most High name, Yahuwah, the YHWH. For the letter Yod, we usually have a Y. And the Y, we replace the English letter I and J that you see today. For the H, we have, I got to find it. Hold on. Here we go. For the H is Heh. As you can see how it's spelled. And this is in ancient Hebrew. Okay. So that letter appeared twice in his name. And when you learn about the Hebrew alphabet, you learn that we didn't have any vowel letters, such as A, I, E, O, and U. Now, I'll explain why that you might see some use U now, okay? So, Va. Now, you can see this letter spelled as W-A-H or V-A. I'm sorry. You may see this letter spelled as V-A-W or W-A-W. So, this is why you would see his name with Y-H-W-H, okay? And this had more of like a U sound, and I'll talk more about that. Okay. All right. Now, let me take this out and go back to this one. I want to get out of this. And go back to the album. Now this brings me to the history of you. Let's see here. I'm looking for the passage that I was looking for. Now the history of you actually came from, I'm trying to find it. Forgive me, my family. I had this picked out, but I cannot find the paragraph that I actually highlighted for you. So let me go to W first. Here it go. Sorry about that. So you can get the understanding about the history of U in the English alphabet. The letter U ultimately comes from the Phoenician letter YAH, and we just talked about YAH. Okay, that's that W that we see in Yahuwah, YHWH. Okay. Now I know with some people they may have a V or U. All right, but for myself I use a W because I want to make sure I pronounce his name correctly. So the letter U ultimately comes from the Phoenician letter YAH by way of the letter Y. See the letter Y for details. So I'll put the link of this in the description box so you can do a further study. Also, with the history of the letter W, it actually comes from two W's. That's why it's called W. Okay? And it's the 23rd letter in the modern English and ISO basic Latin alphabets. Okay? And this is the part I want to read for you so you can get an idea about how W came about into English. The Germanic phone me was therefore written as VV or UU, and another way to put it, U and V, becoming distinct by the early modern period by the 7th or 8th century by the earliest writers of Old English and Old High German. So this is where Old English get the letter. Like when you see some words that should have a spelling a U, you will see a V. I mean, you see some words that should have a V, but it has a U. So it gives you some history on why you see words are spelled differently compared to how we spell words today. All right, and it gives a good understanding where you came from because it came from the Phoenician alphabet, and which also relates to YAHUWAH. So let me go back to that chart with the Phoenician, where you can see it there with YAHUWAH. I hope I have it. If not, here you go, right here. All right, and this is like kind of more. When you see this letter spelled in ancient Hebrew, it's more like a hook, not like a curved Y. It's more like a hook. And let me show that to you in the chart so you can understand what I'm talking about. Let me see, can I find it? This it's spelled more of a hook like, because it means a nail, a peg, a hook, joining together, making secure, becoming bound. So you see it more like a hook and not like a smooth Y that you see in the Phoenician way or in that chart I just showed you. So again, I'm going to put the link of this in the description box so you can hear and compare. All right. And let me show you. I'm trying to see. I'll have to go back to my Facebook album to let you see how we spell the name in. They call it either Paleo-Hebrew or Ancient Hebrew. So you can see how it's spelled. So you can understand what I'm talking about with that hook. Like this way. You see the hook right here. And this is spelled backwards because when you read Hebrew, you read from right to left. So this is my Y, this is my H, this is my W. Some people may put a U or V in place of that, but I use a W, and this is a H. Okay? So you see that hook. Another one would be, I'm trying to find you a good one. I think I have. If not, I'm going to use that picture. Another way you would see it like this, like the hook, like I'm talking about. Remember, you read from right to left in Hebrew. This is your Y. This is your H. This is your W. Again, some may use U or V. And this is my H. Okay? All right. Now we're going to get to looking at some scriptures in the Bible. Another way how I knew that the Most High name was YAHUWAH, I had to look at the spelling of Judah. Okay? So when I convert the spelling of Judah, it led to YHWD, which is pronounced as Yahudah. For we know Judah is the his name means praise of Yahuwah. So that was another confirmation for me to let me know why I use the name Yahuwah. And let's go there now. Genesis. It's Genesis chapter 29, verse 35. Sorry about that. I was in the King James and not the 1611. So let's go to 29. It should be a picture. Here you go. Sorry about that. Okay, so we are in Genesis chapter 29. We're going to look at verse 35. So I'll read this verse. And she conceived again and bare a son. And she said, now I will praise Yahuwah. Therefore she called his name Yehudah and left bearing. So when I click on this number here, it's going to give me the meaning of his name in Hebrew. And his name means praise of Yahuwah. Okay? And that was another confirmation for me. The next confirmation is when you read Exodus chapter 3, verse 14 and through 15, another key word that was there in that verse was the word moreover. Because when many people read the first verse, they think I am that I am is the name. That's one of his names or one of his titles. Okay? But when you read the next verse, it's that you know that is the name, like one like the name that was not identified, or in other words, the name that was not spelled out in those two verses. So now let us go to Exodus chapter 3, verse 15. Okay? Now I'm not going to read all of this, but I want you to notice something. When you go back and read this verse, I want you to notice something what the Most High said. And he said, and Yahuwah said, moreover unto Moses. So if we look at the word moreover, it means, I don't know, hopefully this site will come up. It means in addition to or besides. So right now this site don't want to come up. So I'll put the link of that in the description box for you. Okay. But moreover means in addition to or besides. So he's telling him something else. Okay. So Yahuwah said, moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahuwah, your Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. So the passage that I showed you with my first Bible that I had, with the Bible Concordance, let you know that they have replaced his holy name with Lord and God, which we can see here. So what verse that would confirm what I'm saying? You will have to go to Exodus chapter 6, verse 3, because his name is revealed there. Again, the Most High is not going to leave you hanging, my people. He still left evidence in the King James 16 Bible so you can get the whole truth. So when you read this verse here, he said unto Moses, let me read verse 2. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am Yahuwah. Do you see how they put here? The Lord. I am Yahuwah. Okay. Verse 3. And I appear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of Elohim Almighty, by my name, YAHUWAH, was I not known to them. So he again identified his name in this verse. Now, because I am aware of the Hebrew alphabet, I know this I should be a Y. And I also know there's no vowels in his name. Okay? So you're going to drop the letter E. I know the H in Hebrew should be H. So I got a YH. I know the V right here. For me, I use a W. Okay? So for others, they may use U or V. But for me, I use the W. So I got a Y, H, W. And this ends with an H. So Y, H, W, H. We drop all vowel points, which is E, O, A. Remember, this is Old English. So there was a period of time they were using the letter I, but as time went forth, they changed to the letter J. All right? To give you understanding on that. Other verses you can look at is Psalm 68:4. Another name for him is Yah. Also look at Psalms 83 verse 18. Isaiah chapter 12 verse 2. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 4. Now these are other titles that he go by, such as Yahuwah is our provider. Genesis chapter 22 verse 14. Yahuwah is our shepherd. Psalms 23. Yahuwah is our healer. Exodus 15 verse 26. Yahuwah is our peace. Judges chapter 6 verse 24. Yahuwah is with us and in us. Ezekiel chapter 48 verse 35. Yahuwah is righteousness. Jeremiah chapter 26 verse 6. Yahuwah is our sanctifier. Exodus chapter 31 verse 13 and Leviticus chapter 20 verse 7 through 8. Yahuwah is our banner. Yahuwah is the source of victory and success in our lives. Exodus chapter 17 verse 15. Okay, so now we're just going to end off with this word, with the way the letters are sound in English. Okay, and I just thought it was something fun to do. So let me go here and go to that letter. O makes O, P makes P, Q, S makes S, and T makes T, and U makes Okay, now we can get the sound of U. And U makes See that W? We go back to the W makes and U makes V. So we see they have that U sound like a W sound, okay? Now we're gonna hear the sound of V. V makes W makes So V make V, W make WA. See? So when we say YAHUWAH, YAHUWAH. All right? So I'm going to put the link of these things that I just went over you in the description box, so you can review and study in your spare time. Again, this is not to cause a stumbling block. This is to give you understanding. This is nothing for us to argue about. When in doubt, you seek the Most High. Okay? Remember, knowing the name in Hebrew is not going to get you into heaven. It is receiving salvation and baptism in the name of Yahushua HaMashyah. For it is written in the Bible that he would give us a new name. Read Revelations chapter 2 verse 17, chapter 3 verse 12, chapter 19 verse 12 to 13, and read Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 9. For he would give us a pure language and a new name. So again, my family, is nothing to argue about, because the Most High know your heart, and he know who you're truly calling upon of, and he is the final judge of all things. He know who is for him and who is not for him. Okay, so this will end the lesson, my family. Continue to preach salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 verse 8 to 13. Make sure you baptize the people in the name of Yahushua HaMashyah. And continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For this is the season for Yahushua to return. And I love you all. And Shalom. Worship in spirit and in truth. YAHUWAH, Yahushua.